Are you ready? You guys ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. You ready? Okay, go.
Guys. Hi, everybody. Yes, Briar has lost his mind. Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past because the future belongs to us, the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer, joined by three of the Revolver Live co-hosts. Gary, you're looking better than ever before, man. How you feeling this week?
I just wanted to see her beautiful face on the screen, but I'm feeling good, thank you.
The reflection. Oh, I'm sorry. It was
That was the
Vita's
first
screen.
time that the Vita has been featured on any kind of form of media in years now.
I gotta do it Dragon Ball Z style and counter that shit. Yes.
That is hideous.
Big, bold, and beautiful.
I
And I
need
can
to
see my
How did you
reflection
get
in
Mortal
it too.
Kombat 2 to stick into that brick?
Yeah, and it comes with a fucking fatality, Gary. All right.
Wait, your 3DS has a SNES slot?
Yeah.
That's not a 3DS. That's like two 3DSs duct taped together.
Oh my!
Oh,
fucking
look
God,
how
look at it.
thick that is. Oh, that is thick. Can we get some thicks
That's
in
like-
chat, please? Oh my
That's the
God.
Atlanta Anaconda of handhelds.
It's not that bad. It is.
For people that aren't watching this, who are listening to this on audio, Beastie's holding up a handheld which looks like Kim Kardashian's ass. It's just like the backside of this handheld has been injected with fat and is now swelling to well in excess of what the screen appears that it should be.
It looks like
It is
a DS screen glued onto like a Game Gear, but it's thicker than the Game Gear. Like it's huge. The thing is gigantic.
It's about as thick as a Game Gear.
It looks like, when you're in high school and the teacher's like, just do something wacky and design your like perfect handheld, and they let a bunch of like elementary school kids kind of scribble on a page of illegible shit that would never work, like put a coffee machine in the side of it, like make it make donuts. That is the design. That's the winning design of it. It's horrible.
If I had a handheld that made donuts, it would go south fast.
Yes.
It'd be the greatest day of my life. I'd never
Strap
leave
a
my room.
flashlight to the back of it.
It might be
wouldn't
the
you?
last day of your life.
I don't know, man. I already live off Lunchables, dude. What's a donut's gonna do, man?
Well,
Like,
I was actually wondering how your chopstick. I went out for Japanese food last night, and we were talking about Wilson. Actually use chopsticks for every meal. So I was wondering if that was still true. How has your chopstick adventure been going?
it's been going good. I actually ordered some on Amazon. I got some bamboo ones, and I got some stainless steel ones that came with it for free for whatever reason. So if you want to be like that guy and sit down at the restaurant and they bring you like the little disposable chopsticks, you can be like, no, thank you, and open up
I
your
got my
pocket and be like, I have my
Is that you doing it, or is Sam doing it with you, your partner? Is she also doing the chopstick thing?
She just calls me a weeb. No, she just calls me a weeb.
By herself.
I mean, I would do it if I was a girl or if I had long hair as a dude, because you could Chun-Li that shit, right? You could finish your food, whip your hair up, and put the chopsticks into it.
Oh.
Like,
You
I feel
would,
like-
when
That
it
would
comes
actually
to
be
chopsticks,
nice.
you would identify with a female, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. I'm more of like Daniel-san, you know what I mean? Like I'm finna catch some flies with that shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm quick.
You must be getting
Me,
good
I-
because you've been using them a lot.
I
Do you
eat
eat
like
your Lunchables with them too?
no Lunchables. I draw the line there. That's just savagery. You got to eat that with your hands.
Thank you.
But but like potato chips or like fruit snacks out of the bag
Yeah.
works really well with like
That's-
popcorn or potato chips if you don't want to like get your hands all like
Like, if
greasy
you're
when you're
gaming,
gaming.
right? You don't want to get like fucking Cheeto dust all over your controller.
Yeah.
Chopsticks are next level, man.
It's
That's
pretty
And
good.
you got fucking stainless steel ones. That's amazing.
so
You gotta make glass ones. What are you doing? They're like missed opportunity.
I don't know.
Glass chopsticks.
What if they break
Oh,
somebody's
do you know what
trying to
they're
eat the
missing?
food and they die?
do you know what they're missing? I don't know if they exist, right? But that's given me a thought. If you're doing stainless steel chopsticks, what they need are ones with little LEDs built into the end of them, right? That's got a button on it so that you can eat chopsticks at night, right?
Yes.
And so you don't have to have the lights on. The chopsticks illuminate your bowl. Because I always find it's difficult
That's
to
a
eat
great
in a
idea.
dark
They have them.
room.
They have lightsaber ones that light up.
Fuck. Get them.
Gary
You want
wants
lightsaber
RGB.
chopsticks?
That
RGB.
sounds fucking
He
awesome.
wants RGB chopsticks.
Right. We're going to break the Google rule one more
If
time.
you are eating at your computer with anything but RGB chopsticks, you're a fucking pleb.
Fuck
That's
me,
it.
the lightsaber ones are so good. Wilson, you missed out.
Oh shit! Do I have to see this? Let me see.
Yeah,
I
he
got
done
a bunch
fucked
of
up.
bamboo ones for like $5. How did I miss out?
No, they're on Reddit.
Oh,
$14 for 2 pairs. You can get on Amazon.
oh wow! Oh man, those need
Briar,
to be.
can you get us an affiliate link for this, please?
That is sick. Jeez, I'm sorry the show has gone left already. And that's how Gary has been this week. Holy shit. Briar, how the hell have you been this week?
I've been doing good, man. I've been back in the swing of thing with photo season. Spring is here. I've been really enjoying like being outside. You can see I'm a little bit sunburnt. I always get sunburnt on half my face because
I thought you were just really happy.
I shoot in like one direction for like 6 hours straight, and the sun is
yeah.
just beating on me from one direction, so I just get like a
Wait,
One
wait.
side of your body
Can I
is.
just clarify? Can we clarify? Did you say the sun or my son is beating on me for 6 hours?
It's my son, Gary.
When you're a photographer, that is your light.
I just the and my was just a really important clarification there on that word. Sorry,
I
continue.
was confused for a minute too when he said One Direction. I thought he was out there taking pictures of One Direction for a while.
So I've actually, it's been nice to be outdoors. You know, like the winter is so long and so cold, and you spend so much of it indoors that when spring kind of like finally comes around, and it was kind of late this year, right? It's May, and we're finally getting outdoors. Nice enough to be outdoors. It just feels good. It just feels like you're like a rechargeable battery, like getting your charge back. You know, like you know what I mean? Like I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's been a while for me too, Briar. I actually went out the day before yesterday and took out a squirrel, put it in the deep freezer. I mean, I had to wait for the weather to be just right, you know, to pull out my air rifle and dust it off.
Hold on. Back up. You had to go pull a squirrel out of the deep freezer
No,
or
I
put one in?
Put it in.
Like, did you just shoot it, toss it in
Yeah.
hair and all, or do you like clean it and then
Have to
put it
clean
in?
them first, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people can put them in there like that, but I've made it, you know, up in my mind, especially, you know, with my daughter who likes to see these animals get killed, but she says, I only like to see them get killed if we eat what we shoot. And I said, okay. She said, Dad, we don't hunt for sport. And I'm like, okay, Nova, we don't hunt for sport. So every time I shoot anything besides a possum, it goes into the freezer. And that would only happen with this beautiful weather, going back to Briar's point.
Is squirrel like what portion of your family's diet is now based on squirrel?
Rodent.
The portion of people who are adventurous, Briar.
No, like I mean, like imagine the food pyramid, right?
Where does the squirrel sit on the food
Yeah,
pyramid?
you got like grains, you got fruits and vegetables, you got
Poultry.
meats. How big? Not what category is squirrel in, and also
Okay.
that's not poultry.
Straighten that shit out quick.
What portion of the food pyramid, percentage-wise, would squirrel take up? Like
1%.
5%, 1%.
1%.
It's valuable enough though that you would not let a squirrel go to waste. You definitely want to freeze it and save it for later.
Yeah, man. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in 2019 or 2020? Shit, the whole world could come to an end. The dollar could lose all its value. And what's going to happen
You think
when
we're
you
gonna
guys?
run out of squirrels?
What I don't know, but guess what? I'll have
Shit.
mine on surplus in the
Commodity.
freezer, and you guys might go to the grocery store and it might be empty. And guess what? You have to get on Skype and say, Beasley, can you please send
Can you
me?
spare a
Man.
squirrel?
Could you imagine if, like, a post-apocalyptic
freezer
future,
full
like Waterworld, where Kevin Costner was trading in Earth, you know, like dirt, and in our post-apocalyptic future, squirrel is the new currency. You know,
Like-
it's not dollars, it's not Earth, it's just squirrel. How many squirrels will that
Who
cost me?
needs Nuka-Cola when you can get Nuka Squirrel?
The new currency is
Nuka squirrel.
fucking squirrel pelt. Squirrel pelt.
You know, I do. Honestly, guys, it did trip me out when I shot.
How much does that new job pay? It pays
I took a
14
few
squirrels a
pictures
week.
of it. I took a few pictures of it with my Samsung Galaxy S9 because I was like, wow, you could see like the paw prints of this fucking squirrel with this camera. And Nova was like, Dad, we have to clean this thing and put it in the. I couldn't believe it. She's 7. She said, we don't hunt for sport. And I looked at her, I was like, what the fuck are you watching? How does she even know what the hell this is? Hunting for sport. You know, she watches YouTube. Apparently, they're teaching her about survival on YouTube.
I'll
I don't
tell you,
know.
man, that's something else. That's something else.
Yeah, it's life changing. Well, how you been this week, Mr. Wilson? What's been going on with you this week?
What have I been doing this week? I lucked out that Lord Saladin was selling the only three weapons that I was missing from the Iron Banner.
Oh,
So I
nice.
got those. I got the Nightfall auto on my account and Sam's account. I've been cleaning up on illuminated engrams rather. So I've been getting all my weapon ornaments, my exotic ships and sparrows. I got a 6-man annihilation medal in Iron Banner with a pole dancer. It was amazing.
Watch the video. And
Yeah, it's on his Twitter, right? It's on your Twitter.
Yeah, I posted it on my Twitter. There was a team that was like emoting on us like super hard, and for whatever reason, all 6 of them hopped on the B capture point and proceeded to get pole dance on. It was pretty epic.
It looked like choreography. It looked like, you guys remember Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? How everything looked so chaotic but beautiful is exactly what happened in that video on Twitter. You walked in there with that pole. Good. Yeah, they all got it was fucking insane.
It was good.
Not to shit on your thunder here, but it just reminded me of something. I'm going to promote someone else. Fucking Gangster. Bucking Gangster renames himself to Ebola Buck. And have you guys seen any of his shit that he's putting out?
No.
He's like a video machine. He does gameplay clips, doesn't do narration or anything. Part of like the D2 comp scene, if you want to call it that. This dude, Bucking Gangster, spelled Baken, Gangster. Mm-hmm. Check out some of his shit. If you want to see some Arcblade plays, some quality plays, he almost
I think it's the Baken that plays with Lab, right? Lucky and Buttwhite?
Yeah, he plays with
I'm friends with Baken. I know who he is.
He's one of the best players I've ever seen.
I know, I played with him.
Yeah, listen, fuck this shit up, man. Don't throw salt on.
No, I played with him.
I'm just saying.
What's wrong with you, man?
I played with him.
Wilson said he smacked the shit out this dude.
I did
That's
not.
What I heard. That's what I heard.
Thump him in the forehead. Bow.
He would wreck me. But
before the show, Wilson's like, Bakken, 1v1 me, bro. Unless you're scared.
May 8th. Do you even D2?
It just came into my mind. I wanted to promote him because he's been playing Arcstrider for a long time, and was really impressed by some of the videos.
He is really good. I'll second that. But to kind of second and piggyback what Briar was saying about spring, I have been having the opposite experience. I've had to mow my lawn twice this week. Have a push mower, and I have a sizable yard. Like, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it's bigger than what I should probably use in a push mower with has a bagger on it as well. So
nice.
It's self-propelled, so literally all I have to do is
just hold on to it.
Yeah. Just hear me out, though. It is totally a push mower because I have these dips in my yard, and it doesn't always want to self-propel out of said dip. Gotcha. So Briar's been having a good time outside.
Yeah.
I
got kids to mow the lawn, so there's.
Me too. and Wilson, to be totally honest, my kids are watching us right now. My son will be 17 in 27 days. He keeps letting me know. And you know my yard. You've seen my yard. He had to do that shit yesterday, and they broke my self-propel lawnmower, so I had to buy one that doesn't self-propel. And my son went out there and gangster through that shit.
So it was a funny.
The lesson here, Wilson, is have some kids and wait for 16 years.
I don't think it's worth just so I can get them lawn mowed in 16
to be fair,
years.
you can use someone else's kids. I mean, not in a creepy way.
Go knock on the neighbor's door.
A lot of people like to talk shit about underage labor, but I will say it's cheap.
Yeah, they work for almost nothing.
You see where they're coming from.
So you throw this kid a Lunchable and your lawn is mowed.
So I haven't started this lawnmower in. Man, it's been a while, this particular lawnmower. It was over a year. So opened up the gas tank, looked at it, and I was like, great, it still has gas in it. This gas is no good. So instead of just dumping it out, I just put more fresh gas in and like kind of mixed it up a little bit.
Sure. Fuck it, yeah.
Primed it up, just ripping on this thing, man. I mean, just ripping on this lawnmower, nothing. I'm about to give up. I text Sam, I'm like, this shit is fucked. I'm cranky. I don't want to be doing this. And I kick the lawnmower. And I rip it one more time, and it fires right up after kicking it. Like, just like it just.
Wilson,
right
let me just say this, Wilson.
It's like Bife's car from Back to the Future.
Based on that comment, Wilson, you're already set to be a parent. Okay, I mean, it seems like you have all the precursors lined up.
What, you kick your child until it works?
Don't do it. Have you fucking done what I told you to do? No. Crack! You doing it now? I'm gone. Perfect parenting. Wilson, you'll be an awesome
Revolver
parent, man.
does not endorse the domestic violence advocated by BC.
No, but of course we don't. It's just
underage
motivation.
section.
So I've been really busy this week, doing my other business
And shit,
That only took 15 minutes, Briar. I watched enough YouTube. Listen, let me tell you this: you can take off the coat of a squirrel literally in a minute and a half.
Is there like races? Like, is there competitive squirrel gutting?
If there was, I'd be in the top 5,000.
I've never seen a squirrel wearing a coat.
I thought
Where do you put the coat when you've taken it off? Do you put it on a little like hanger in the hallway for when he leaves?
Mother's Day's coming up. You could make your wife like a squirrel coat.
I don't know.
Where do they buy coats that small that fit on them? Do they come in different styles?
Toys R Us until they went out of business. Now they're fucked.
Do they like scavenge garbage cans for like old Action Man and Barbie clothes to wear their coats? What color coat? I've never seen a squirrel in a coat, basically.
Why are they scavenging? They got jobs, man.
Squirrels?
American squirrels are very industrious.
They sure are. I have a tree out back. They make sure they clean my yard really well.
Like how BC said it'd be top 5,000, like it'd be like Overwatch top 500. Yeah, my rank is I'm Grandmaster in.
You get an ELO in squirrel coat removal.
No, seriously though, squirrels are super easy. All you have to do is cut off their head, right? That's done. Then you lift up the tail and you cut to the base of the ass, not where the asshole is. That's called the vent. So you turn it upside down. You grab its feet. You put your foot on its tail, and when you yank up, it rips everything from their legs on up to the head completely off clean. And then you just pull the legs off, the little coat on the legs, and open it up.
We have talked about all sorts of very disgusting things on this show. But I think that one might take the cake.
I'll upload a video and show you guys how fucking morbid it really is.
Out of context, that is literally the exact same speech that Ted Bundy gave just before they electrocuted him. Cut the head off, rip the legs open, cut under the ass.
It's called the vent.
Dude, I'll tell you right now.
If eat around that ass, you don't call it an ass.
If I had to clean my own meat, I would be a vegetarian. Straight up, if I had to.
Should we start the show?
Yeah. How about it? To top off my week, Kate and I have been rummaging through God of War, and we beat it last night. As you guys can see,
nice. Yeah, I know you're trying to talk about the last boss before the show.
No, I wasn't going to spoil anything.
Basically, how does it end?
Fuck off!
Shit. Credits, Briar. I'm sure Briar knew that. Spoiler alert: there's credits. God damn it. Anyway, we did the game last night. And I feel like I've had a transformative kind of gaming experience, something so new to me compared to everything else I've ever seen. And it's been really, really special. And that's been my week. So to the people who are new to the show, Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. You can be a part of the show by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 4:00 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/BriarRabbit. That's twitch.tv/BriarRabbit. The video is then shared on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel and my channel, Beastly Gamer. If you're unable to see us live or the video formats on YouTube, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, Podcast Addict, or wherever you're doing your podcasting. Be sure to leave us a nice review. And with that, welcome to Revolver Live, episode 40.
40? 40.
Oh, fo? Welcome to the show, guys. So happy to be with you. We got a really interesting and fun show going on today. I can't see out of my right eye, but I'm going to pull through it. I heard my actual eyeball burst yesterday.
Yeah, we heard.
That's
you gotta
so
start.
fucked up.
Stop. You gotta stop telling these stories before the show, because if you tell them again on the show, the whole cast is bored of it already.
Nobody cares what you guys think.
This is a suspicious eye injury.
That is the truest thing you've ever said.
I just thought maybe you got into some of that sticky icky and it just affected your one eye.
I'm going to be honest with you, basically. The only time I've ever seen an eye injury like that was on a former partner, and I promise you it wasn't playing God of War that caused it. So I have suspicions about the the cause of said eye injury and what you've been up to this week, especially with how quickly you were able to identify our pre-show quiz.
Motherfucker.
The pre-show quiz. Oh my god.
The pre-show quiz, you were pretty fucking quick at.
I might have a bursted blood vessel, but my fucking eyes work. Gary showed me a picture of a cosplayer in Bangkok, Thailand, and the cosplayer has a pizza in their hand, and he asked me, "Beastly, what do you think about it?" I said, "The pizza looks pretty real, but the guy dressed up as this girl." And he said, "Oh, you could tell." Yes, I can fucking tell. And nobody put their dick in my eye.
We weren't saying dick, we were saying semen. Anyway.
He's just throwing that disclaimer out there at the end, and no one put their dick in my eye. I love it.
Speaking of dicks in the eye, I'd like to thank our sponsor, On Air PC.
You know who won't give you a dick in the eye? On Air PC.
Their screens will
I'm sorry,
certainly not
Ryan.
cause red eye.
Rabbit has the best timing for fucking reading out. It connected them to the most fucked up things. Oh my god.
On Air PC, though, for real, guys, a great place to buy a PC. If you're new to streaming, if you'd like to jump into streaming, if you're new to PC gaming, if you'd just like to try your hand on it, it's a very easy way to get yourself a streaming PC. If you want something that's all blinged out and lights up like a Christmas tree, if you want something that's completely stealth mode, completely ready to fit your aesthetic in your living room or your office, just give On Air PC a call. Gary, what's the phone number for On Air PC?
I'll put it up in chat. It
Awesome.
is for the people listening, it is
330.
330-850-1525. For people outside of the US, you got to add a 1 in front of that, I believe, or some sort of crazy. Why do you have 1 like you're some sort of like number 1 nation in the world?
Because
Did you invent that system?
We literally, because
We
we were
just
the
said-
first. Like they handed out the numbers based on when they hooked you up to the international phone system.
So how did
we
we get
invented the
44?
phone. That's
How
You're
did
the
we get
44th.
There were 44 nations connected before the UK. I do not fucking believe that. I reckon you guys put us on a waiting list. Repayments for the Boston Tea Party. It was just
Let me explain to you how this works, Gary. I know you're a
44.
younger guy.
Democratic
don't
Republic of
understand.
Congo's 39. I don't fucking believe that
There you
we're
go.
44.
See, Congo was very early with the technology, trying to get up and running with the phone lines. You know,
Right,
And there
I'm
was
looking up.
called Congo.
They were
Jane
all about
Goodall needed to know what was going on with the monkeys in the jungle, so she had a phone installed that she could call internationally,
it.
and that was number 39.
Listen,
True story.
Gary, you don't understand this yet. You're a little bit younger than some of us here, but let me explain to you. America is number fucking 1. Okay, so we do, even if we fuck up first. In the UK, you guys, that's like your Z's or Z's. You fucked up last.
I'm
may have
pretty
fucked up
sure
first.
that it was a 1 so that you guys could remember how to call home if you ever left the country.
That helps too. That's a strong possibility.
Fucking hit it.
When you're drunk, they found out when you're drunk that you're more prone to just hit 1 to start.
Just press 1 and
We're
dial my
also
number again.
extraordinarily lazy, and anybody who's old enough will remember when phones had dials instead of buttons, and the 1 was the closest one.
If somebody had a 9 in their phone, I'm not calling you on a rotary
Yeah,
phone.
you suck.
Rotary phone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They
Get a better
fucked
phone
us in-
number.
They fucked us in the UK because you know you guys have 911 over
Uh-huh.
here. You know, obviously 9 slows you down, but then the 11
Sure.
you're onto the emergency services quick.
Yeah.
Ours 999.
Oh,
That's-
God.
3 times you got to wait. For
How
that.
many people died because there were too many 9s in that phone number?
How many people dial that in their pocket?
Oh, a lot.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like, because if you make it 3 numbers in a row, I mean, dude, anyone can just dial it. But it takes a person in trouble to coast on up to the 1 region and tap that twice.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't know if you guys heard the story here in the States a few years ago. 2 gentlemen and a female had robbed a bank and they accidentally butt dialed 911 and they did their confession over the fucking phone and the phone was trapped. And they caught these people, got the money and everything. And this guy was looking extremely pissed off, woman looking so mad. They were in the car talking about this crime they had just committed and they completely confessed over the phone to the police by accidentally dialing the emergency line.
Did you guys hear about that Brinks truck that the back flew open recently and like over $200,000 flew out in a rough neighborhood?
I did
Why
hear
doesn't
about
that shit ever happen to me?
To
And
me,
no, listen, all of it's gone.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That shit
Right.
can
And so-
happen in the nicest neighborhood, and that
forget
shit
what-
all be
I
gone.
forget what state it was in, but the police had to put out a statement saying, if you have a good heart, please return it, and we assure you no questions will be asked. You will be able to walk on and off the premises, and people.
I have no heart. I have 100,000 motherfucking dollars.
If you want to give these rich people their money back,
Yeah, I want to get this company that has billions of dollars worth of insurance. Yeah, go ahead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
you know how much Kool-Aid in the hood you can buy with that kind of money.
all the
You'd
Kool-Aid.
fill the swimming pool with Kool-Aid.
I'm more thinking like Lunchables.
there was the best block party of all block parties that weekend.
Because
Dill
everyone's
pickles. and fucking
Everyone's
Kool-Aid
got
every-
money. Everyone's
Right.
kicking it. Like,
Throw in pickle.
Guys.
You want a pickle? You get a pickle. Throw it in.
I'm looping us back round to these international dial codes because I'm unsatisfied with your answer.
What are you talking about? I made that answer up, and I feel
Kazakhstan.
like it's a pretty good answer.
I'm going to cite
Briar.
Kazakhstan, who have beaten us with the number 7 in your dialing code, were not
Mhm.
given their independence as a nation until 1991, and you're telling them that they were before the UK. I am unhappy.
They inherited
still
it
gotta
though.
go to call 'em.
It was grandfathered to them.
yeah. They're grandfathered into the contract. And for
Yeah,
a
it's
bit-
country
they
till,
got
like,
they got grandfathered
1936.
into the lucky number 7.
yeah.
I've got grandparents older than Kazakhstan, and you're telling me that they. I give up.
Deal with it, Gary. These are the facts. All right.
Yeah. Just live your fucking life and dial 999 when you're in trouble.
Exactly.
I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy, and I'm going to move on to our first topic because that's also made me unhappy. Today's first topic is something that I've trialed this week, and it's actually been really good. It's actually, I guess there's a. I'll go into the story around it, but I'll introduce the topic first, and it's removing social media from your phone. So this was preempted basically on the fact that I've got a family and a job, and a lot of other things, and I find that I spend so much time on my phone that I actually don't spend much time living the life that I have. We're also preoccupied in kind of doing stuff around our phone. So I thought, right, I don't want to switch off to the dark ages. I don't want to move back. I don't want to, an iPhone's convenient. I like having an iPhone. So I like having my emails. I like being able to browse the internet. I like those freedoms. And I like having Twitter, and I like having that sort of thing. What I don't like is people being able to reach me on their terms and not on my terms. So all I did was the simple step of saying, actually, how can I improve my quality of life and be present in the moment with my family and friends when I'm out? So now I only, obviously there's workarounds to it, because yes, I could go on Google, and yes, I could go onto Twitter or Facebook or Instagram from Google. So it takes a bit of willpower there. But the fact that I don't get notifications on here is really, really powerful, because
You
I
turn
check
off
it.
all your notifications.
I don't have the app. So I don't have the app. There's no
Oh, you
way
don't
to
have Twitter
contact me.
on.
Don't have Twitter on there, don't have Instagram, don't have Facebook, don't have any social media on there. I've still got WhatsApp, I've still got text messages, right? So I've still got contactability. But the fact is, it's not pinging, right? I checked my Twitter after just over 24 hours. So I'll only check it on desktop. So when I'm at my desktop, when it's on my terms, I'll log on and check and say, right, I'm going to have a look. I had 67 notifications on there, right? In that period. And I know it's probably not a lot for yourself, Briar, with like that many people that are following you. But for me, that's quite a significant amount. And what that told me was, actually, had I left my phone on in the past 24 hours, that's 67 separate times that I would have stopped what I was doing, been present in the moment, looked at my phone and interrupted in what I was doing. So, in 24 hours, 67, that's like 3 times an hour on average.
Wow.
To every 20 minutes, assuming that I'd been awake for 24 hours, that would have happened. So, yeah, this whole week, which you guys probably have not seen as much of me, because I'll log on to Twitter.
I thought you were dead or something. I was
quite probably
mildly concerned.
I thought he was snuffed us up in another Vita, is what I thought.
Well, the thing is, it still allows you to be, engage with that, and you're not completely caveman. You can still do it. but the control's been put back in my hands, and I just feel like I'm enjoying my life so much more. I've completed more games. I've done more at work. During the day, I'll have like a podcast on rather than watching Twitch, where I feel like inclined to interact with the person because I get on with
Okay, so
them
you
more at
even
some
cut
level.
off Twitch too. Wow.
Yeah, because I feel like Twitch, I'll watch if I'm at a desktop. If I'm out and about trying to do my day, I'll be trying to follow what's going on. I'll be trying to lead a conversation. I'm just not following my life.
Right.
So to me, I've done this, and I've really this week I've not missed it at all because I've
So
still
it's been
got
a net
access to it.
benefit for you, for sure.
Massive benefit. There's so many. I don't want to, monotone this and just do me. I mean, what do you guys think of that? Have you guys ever thought of doing that? What's
Yes.
preventing you doing it?
Yeah, for sure.
There's really nothing preventing me from doing it. As somebody who has a lot of people who, for some reason, follow me and are interested in my life, it's been kind of some.
I mean, come on. You do so much fucking cool stuff. You're out
Easy
there.
life
Yeah,
is
fucking
worth
right.
following.
You're fucking killing buffaloes, squirrels. fucking, you're fucking
Trapping possums.
running around with Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Johnson.
Diamond Dallas Bronson.
Diamond Johnson.
Oh shit! It's something that I've been wanting to do as a man who has teenage sons as well, who are heavily steeped in social media. Every conversation I have with my sons, I have to direct their attention from the phone in their lap, the phone in their hand. I over the weekend I make them stop doing what they're doing on their phone and social media so we can sit together and have a conversation or watch a movie as a family. We actually did that last night. We did it last weekend. Last weekend I told them no phones for the entire day of Saturday. And I like to lead by example. To me, this is something that's kind of been on my list of things to do. And I know, just like you do, that it'll be a huge net benefit to my life, my productivity at work, my quality of lifetime at home with my wife and my kids. To me, this is kind of rekindling that connection to the real world versus the irrelevant. And I'm not saying that people on social media are irrelevant, but 75 to 80% of the people on social media, and that really applies to all of us, probably more than that, are people we don't know, that we've never spent a moment of our actual lives with, and people who really, like Gary said, are unnecessary things in our lives, as far as postponing us from doing the things that are really truly important to our real lives.
To clarify that point, I don't think that the people on social media are unnecessary or anything else there. What I dislike and why I've removed it from my phone and not removed myself from it is I don't like to be at the mercy of someone else's time frame or someone else's timeline.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't want to make it sound.
I think that everyone's opinion is important, but it's just on my terms. Like I should complete my day and then say, right, this is my time to check social media, and everything that if you guys in the group chat have been talking to me, I'll pick it up at that point there. But it's like I've not stopped a barbecue that I was at with the family to then talk to someone else, or I've not done
it would be
live in the moment you're in.
To you sitting inside of a bathroom stall with holes on the sides that are normally glory holes, but instead of the glory holes, you have locks on the holes. And so whenever you feel like doing whatever makes you feel good, you can slide those locks up and allow whatever comes in to come in.
Both sides.
I 100% of
that actually element of
That analogy.
Sometimes you want to close.
Yeah. Close the glory hole. Hashtag close the glory hole.
Sometimes you want the hole wide open. Yeah. It's like I said, for me, that this whole topic is just about controlling your life. Retaking control and social media on your terms.
Gary, I feel you hardcore on this, because I'm the same way. As I'll sit there and I'll be like having a conversation with my wife, and my phone will start dinging, and I'll be like,
sliding away.
And my wife will do the same thing. My kids definitely do it. I've had this problem since pagers, basically. When I remember first getting my first pager, and this was back before people had cell phones. So you'd get a page, and now you were committed to going and finding a fucking payphone.
Yeah.
To go and return this phone
call.
It was even worse.
I had that pager for, I think it was 6 months. And I said, I don't want this thing anymore, because all of a sudden, whenever all my friends wanted to get together, everybody would page me. right? And that's where it was all of a sudden incumbent to me because everybody knew they could get a hold of me. Whereas if anybody was out of their house, they'd, you couldn't get a hold of them at all, right? So everybody would start calling me, and all of a sudden I was like the vector for everybody to make their plans. And all of a sudden it became incumbent on me to always be kind of returning those calls.
Available,
So I sold that pager to my best friend.
You son of a bitch.
Sold the bird.
And Briar, another thing about, because a lot of people, younger people, probably don't even know what pagers were like. When pagers existed, there was a means that you could get through to someone who had the pager that made them really drop what they were doing, hop in their car, go to a payphone, get on the phone at home, and return your call. And that was by creating a 911 page. People would put their number in and put 911 in.
You pull that shit once and it's not an actual emergency, and you never.
The reason you know that they were all lies is because I haven't gotten one 911 text or one 911 call in 20 years.
So, like, nowadays, I have a problem, Gary, is because I very much feel you. Like, I very much feel, and I think it would be an improvement on my personal life, right? An improvement in my relationship with my kids, and with my wife, and with my father and mother. Because I would just have more time. I would be more present, like you said, when I'm with those people. But I have a problem because social media is also my business, right? It's my work. So it's hard for me to separate work hours from non-work hours because I work from home. So it's not like I go home from work and I'm no longer working. I'm always kind of working. Like, I'm half working, half not working a lot of the time. Sometimes I'll be watching a movie with my wife, but I'll also be like answering questions on Twitter. Or good example, Friday is I was fucking exhausted. We were up super late, till like 1:30 in the morning, doing the Destiny Community podcast. And then my family all woke up and got like super loud at 5 a.m. So I literally got like 3.5 hours of sleep. So I was just beat. I made a quick YouTube video, and I was like, I was going to stream God of War, and I'm just too fucking tired to stream God of War. So I was like, I tweeted out, I'm going to take a nap. I'm not streaming today.
Need some sleep.
But what did I do? I didn't take a nap. Instead, I was on Twitter for the next 4 hours trying to set up a new project that we have coming for DCP. So I was like literally having like four separate DMs open, trying to coordinate like, everybody to do what needed to be done. And we have, I'm not going to talk about what the projects were.
Yeah.
There was like 4 different projects. My wife came home from work at 5:30, and I'm like, fuck, I was supposed to take a nap like 4 hours ago.
Fuck
I was
yourself.
exhausted.
Whoops.
Yeah. So it's like that shit it catches up with you too. I have my notifications on my phone silent all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, especially Twitter, would just kind of be dinging, especially like on a Thursday where I get like, added to a tweet that gets like 1 million responses, like a lot of responses.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because every time you pick up the phone, there's that thing. Like there's always like somebody's always asking something,
Mm-hmm.
And it's rude not to answer, right?
I mean, would you, just on that point there about it being your work, would it be prohibitive to your business then if you took it off your phone and you just said, right, I'm going to check Twitter 5 times a day or 4 times a day, and these are the hours that I'm going to check it on my desktop, and afterwards, like DCP, if it's an emergency, you've got my cell phone number, call me. If
That
it's
might be
an
a better
emergency.
idea, Gary, and I think it might be something I explore because all of a sudden, instead of while I'm in the middle of a conversation with my wife and I'm suddenly like halfway, reading a tweet, now I'm just talking to my wife, right?
Yep.
You
That's
can
what
be,
I've noticed.
when I'm
necking
working
the whole time.
When I'm working, I come up to the office. I'm gonna give it a shot. I really am.
I mean, just to go into the net benefits, I wanted to float it around the table first, and I think this works. I think it works for everyone, but I think it works better for people with family and commitments. I think rather than single people who are,
totally true.
talking to buddies and using it in that way. But if you've got people in your life that you want to be spending the time with, sorry, Willie.
The people that are single and smoking weed and blah blah blah, like it's good.
I give you some examples.
It's easy
right?
for me, man. Like when I'm at the studio and I'm working on something, like good luck getting through to me. I'm sure you guys have
That's
seen
what's
that a
up.
few times. When
Yeah.
I take like a break, I'll be like, hey, I'm just now getting caught up. LOL, Gary, you're a pervert. Briar, that's awesome. Beastly, I love you. Now
I'm the
back
same
to
way.
work.
I'm the same way, Willie. For me, I used to be more like Briar when I was really focused on YouTube an eon ago, and I had to answer every question that was constantly available on social media, and people. It was a nonstop barrage of comments and questions, and so it was like I treated it like a 24-hour job, even though I was running my lab, and after I moved and things started to really slow down, I started to look at my life and ask myself, was YouTube going in the direction I wanted it to? Was there other options for me? I kind of put it in the place that it needed to be, focused on where I was at and future goals. And so I treated it as really a secondary hobby. And so now, after I get done working in the lab, some days I'm just exhausted. I get up and leave here at 5:30 every morning. I get back here at 5 o'clock. So it's like I'm exhausted. It'll be a whole bunch of shit going on, and sometimes I'd rather just sit back, put my phone in the charger, and lay down and watch TV, or stay away from the situation, or maybe play the game for an hour. And I put everything into its neat little cubbyhole to make my life work better
doesn't work
for
me about that, Beastly, is that some things are fucking important, and I gotta handle them right now.
Oh, I know
to,
you're going through.
To put the phone away, just it doesn't work. But what Gary's saying is to just delete Twitter off the phone, or even to just completely silence it. I think deleting is a better idea, but I still have texts so that, like if something really important happens, the people who, like the people who I can actually help in their immediate life have my fucking phone number, right? Like, like my wife, my kids, my mother, my father,
And yeah, I mean, the examples that I give is that you've got a cop out, right? You've got Safari and Chrome on your phone. You can get on Twitter if you absolutely need to without having the app. So you've got control over that. I've set myself the rule of just going on the desktop, but the specific examples this week of where I've noticed huge benefit of not having them. At work, okay? At work, if you're just commuting to work, how many times do you just sit there and rather than reading a book, playing a game, listening to a podcast, doing something else, you're just scrolling a timeline. You're just scrolling a timeline, looking for someone to talk about, looking for something to say, scrolling a timeline. Honestly, you're just looking for shit. Just trying to discover shit, find out what people have said. That doesn't need to happen at that time. It can happen at a separate time. When you're at work and you're just bored, zoned out, you're sitting there. Again, someone sends you something, a notification, you get involved in a conversation. That's 20 minutes of your time gone. When you wouldn't have seen that notification at all at that point there, you'd have been more productive with your day. Again, when you're in social relationships, like when you're talking to a partner, when you're talking to a kid, when you're like, I'm waiting for my kid to get dressed. Before, I would have been like, oh God, he's going to take about 5 minutes to put his socks on because he's 3, and that's what they do. Like, I'll just go on Twitter and answer something or do something else, or again, I'm having a conversation or I'm watching a movie, but I'm not kind of fully invested in this movie, so I'm going to sit there and tweet. Actually, no, what I should have been doing instead of tweeting was talking to my partner. If she doesn't want to talk, then maybe I should have been a bit more invested in the movie, or maybe I should be playing a game or doing something else in my time that isn't just interacting socially 24/7. I've got my set times that I can do this. I'm not disconnected. At least once a day, at least, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, you will hear from me and I will catch up and I will be on there. And if it's absolutely urgent, you can still reach me. But what you don't have is open door access to me at any time, yelling at me. You can't ring a bell and say,
I got a question for you, Gary, because there's been a lot of studies involving this particular topic that have stated that there are lasting negative effects on society, people in general, through social media and constantly being connected. Do you guys believe that? Do you think that prolonged time on social media, Facebook, Twitter, can affect you in a negative way and affect society in a negative way? Do you guys, like for me, I feel like our society, our culture has kind of divorced itself from the real world.
It really depends, Beastly. Like some things, like Twitch, I don't have the same response to Twitch, I don't think, as Gary does. All morning, I basically have a Twitch stream on, right? Whether I'm working on a YouTube video or I'm trying to coordinate something for DCP or whatever I'm doing, right? Is I kind of always have a Twitch stream on. Sometimes it's just background noise. Sometimes I'm just hearing other people's opinions on something I care about. Mostly, though, it's nice because I spend so much time, all my whole day I spend alone, right? From the time my kids and wife go to school and to work, the time they come home and I stop streaming, like I'm essentially sitting in a room alone. So it's nice to have, you know, a Twitch stream going on and something like I'm still alone technically, right? But at least I am like there's a connection I'm making. Even though it's
and it's
one-sided,
pertinent information
100%.
that you're interested
it's
in
less
as well.
about information. It's more about like just not being
Like a radio one, really.
it's sort of like a radio.
It's mental
on,
company.
yeah.
It's mental company. Like you are in the room alone, but you can still make a connection. Like for instance, when I'm at the studio, I'm in Briar's chat all the time, just lurking, just listening to audio because I have like my phone in my pocket and my headphones on. I want to get wireless headphones and like, you know, a monitor and all that good stuff so I can actually watch while I work. But you still make those connections, you know. Sometimes, you know, if it's someone that you've watched a long time, you know, if there's an inside joke that gets said or something, or you don't necessarily have to see what's going on, but the conversations between like Briar and chat or whatever, like will get me laughing. You know what I mean?
So it's less about that and it's more about the way I consume Twitch is that I generally speaking am active in chat.
Yeah,
when I'm on
he
it.
is.
So
you make your presence known, so it's more work for you than it needs to be. Is what you're saying.
I don't have a problem like lurking, man. So like my whole thing with social media, real quick, like, is Facebook, I would love to delete it right now. I have a lot of pictures. I have a lot of pictures that I need to get off there, and once I do that, I probably will delete it. Twitter, I've been really selective about the people that I follow, and it's not like you have to be of a certain Twitter status for me to follow. It's how do you conduct your Twitter? Are you on there being positive? Are you on there trying to be a know-it-all? Are you constantly commenting on every single post in my feed, just commenting on people's stuff and being negative? You know, like, so I feel like with Twitter, I've had a lot more control with that. And I have no problem when I'm at work just being like focused out on what I'm doing and getting the job done, because the moment that I do allow myself to get distracted, the piece that I've been working on all day or the past 2 days could just fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I understand that it varies from person to person, but like I have for as an outgoing person as I am, I do have my moments where I flip appear offline on PlayStation, or I, you know, just kind of
go into
crawl into my man cave for the day and shut everything off. And I think like it's kind of echo what Gary's doing, but like not so often. Like, I don't know, maybe I guess like that's like the one thing in my life that I potentially have discipline with is my social media aspects. And like Twitch isn't, I know it is social media, but to me it's like it's kind of not. Like it has a different feeling. Like I can I can personally be okay with lurking in chat and still having, like Briar said, that connection.
Well, I mean, I feel like in that sense, Wilson, you and I are very similar. You and I are much less on the social media scene, in my opinion, than the other two hosts. Briar, it's his job. Gary just has a big mouth. And so you and I, we don't, you know, we're not on Twitter nearly as much as he's. Now you're talking about me, Gary. But I feel the exact same way. And for me, the potential of, you know, maybe getting rid of Facebook or getting rid of Twitter is getting closer and closer. I just feel like you become so married to it. You become so dependent on it.
Such a valuable tool, though. Like it's so valuable. Like
Briar, do you know how much money I made off Facebook just by having Facebook ads for my business? Right. I mean, literally in 2 weeks, $2,000.
Yeah, so
you know,
like,
just
how could you
side money
sit
from
there
Facebook.
and say like I'm gonna delete it? You know, like
don't delete it. Just don't have it on your phone. That was the.
I'm talking about the nonsense portion of Facebook. You know, all this other stuff I've never even had. You know, I know there's other things other than Facebook and Twitter. You guys mentioned a few. There's like Snapchat. There's some other stuff I've never even done. I was actually forced to make a Facebook page when I started my YouTube channel. I didn't have it then. Because I don't use
a Facebook. I mean, at one point I think I was reposting everything. Like, I had I think I had
from your YouTube channel to
it would just like automatically post it to a Facebook
Same
page.
thing with my Instagram.
But I never actually went there because when I first got on Facebook, I was like, oh, this is awesome! Like all these people like I haven't seen in forever I can catch up with. And then very quickly I said, "Oh, this is why I stopped hanging out with all these assholes."
That's right.
I felt
Nailed
super quick on Facebook.
It's so real. It's
like
so
2
true.
months.
You know, I'm friends with people who I knew in elementary school who haven't seen since that fucking grade, and you see the people, the mystique of actually, wow, this is what happened to you. You became a senator. You became a crackhead. You find all these
Facebook
people
selling all our information. Like I find it to be just.
true.
Like I'm so upset with that aspect of Facebook that, you know, Oculus. I don't know if you guys have seen like what's coming from Oculus coming up. Their next headset is going to be like blow your mind, fucking craziness. Like such a step above of what we got now. But it's like it's still owned by Facebook, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't want them seeing what I'm seeing. Like the metamorphosis for social media for me was like Facebook, keeping in contact with friends that lived in the same tiny little town as me anyway. Then it evolved into Instagram for business, and now it's Twitter to keep in contact with people that I don't have a chance to actually see, and I could give a fuck less about what everybody else is doing. I've kept in contact with all the people that matter, you know what I mean? Half the time people see me and they're like, "Oh my god, you're still alive?" Like you know, didn't see that
Honestly,
one coming.
Twitter too. It's like I bet I spend 75% of my time on Twitter in DMs, right? Whether it's with you guys or with DCP hosts or with the DC production team or whoever it is. It's like I swear to God, it's like 75% DMs, 25% like, you know, like open
Public
conversations.
posts.
That's why I'm always telling, like, how many times have I said in our DMs, like, we should be having this conversation publicly. This is a funny conversation. Like, let's let people like join
That's
in.
true.
Well,
Like,
Yeah.
we'll be talking about the weirdest fucking shit in our DMs. Like, why are we hiding this? This is funny shit.
I tell you what, Briar, just to close off this topic, because we've only got an hour now for the last ones there. It's
Fucking
worth,
Gary. That let you know
it's
Gary was a good
good
topic.
conversation, man. It's worthwhile. What I'd say, the baby steps towards it. If you're not ready to pull the trigger altogether, just to get a feel for how long you're spending on it, there's an app you can download free of charge called Moment, and it's a screen time tracker. And what that does is that is on passively in the background whenever you use your phone, providing you've got the app going, and that will track how often you use your phone, how long you've spent on which app you're on, what you're doing. So at the end of the week, you can look back and see exactly how long you've spent on Twitter in that week, or how long you've spent on
It's called
So
whatever
I
you're
can
on there.
imagine Gary's
called Moment.
chart is like 99% Pornhub, 1% Twitter, 0.1%. You know, he's got some sort of Vita to phone technology going on right now. He's got some sort of some sort of calibration.
Tethered.
I don't
I'm just
know.
saying,
I'm
it's
really
worthwhile.
intrigued, Gary. I think I'm gonna give this a shot. I think we're gonna give this a shot this week. Is just
We should
take
all do
Twitter,
it this week and see what happens.
take Twitter off of my phone. Just use it on the computer. You know, maybe, you know, use one of those like tomato timer kind of technique to kind of schedule like when my Twitter time is. Like right now, it's like
24/7.
it is
It's-
basically.
It takes over
Yeah.
your life, yeah.
It
I
just
think
worked
you
for
should
me.
try it this week. Gary, that was a great idea. It took a lot of balls for you to do it unsolicited like that. I know how hard it is to step away. We all know. But I think it would benefit us all.
I felt
to-
like
Dude,
I
I'm
was
a hippie. I have
neglecting.
no problem. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
I certainly
Social
felt like
media,
I was
man,
neglecting my
you know,
family,
like-
so I just wanted to do something to positively impact my relationship with my family. Not this falling apart, but it's just like I
important.
want to spend more time with my kid and my partner, and the time that I spend with them, I want to be quality time, and this works for me. It might not work for you, but hey, just sharing it.
Leonardo's a lucky little dude, Gary. I give you a lot of shit, but you know, just the fact that you've gone and taken this step, that's a hell of a move for your family. They're a lucky group of people.
You
to
really
have you
want
at
to
that-
invest early in that loan mowing.
Man, if I'm tweeting all the time, I can't teach him how to mow that lawn. I need extra time for that.
All
You
right.
gotta teach him how to do it safely. Otherwise, you'll end his career early, and nobody's happy. You
it.
can't have a fucking stumpy ass kid running around circles doing your lawn. You know,
Then he's a dependent for life.
right?
Think about
Right,
that.
and that you fucked up then. That's not the
Basically.
end game we were looking for.
Tell me about critics' reviews and how they affect
right.
gaming scores.
Well, this is shout out to Kate. This week she provided both of my topics. She sat on my lap And like a genie, I rubbed her butt, and great topics came out of her. The very first topic is: do critic reviews affect your gaming choices, or do trailers affect your gaming choices? Metacritic and other sites show the overall reviews of many games as well as well-known reviewers and organizations. Do critic reviews influence the games you buy more than trailers? Now, me personally, I go to particular reviewers, people who I've trusted for years. Usually, I stay away from a lot of mainstream stuff. But trailers do as well. And I will give a lot of credence to Metacritic. Over the last 2 years, they've been really spot on. I guess the voices of the people have been, pretty straightforward as far as whether or not a game is really a great game or not. And so for me personally, I like to use Metacritic, and I use particular reviewers like Colin Moriarty and some of the other people out in the gaming world. But I'm just curious, when it comes to buying games and the games you guys decide to pick up, do critic reviews and trailers affect whether or not you're going to get it, or do you ever just go out on your own and pick up a particular game based on the way you feel?
It's very much the second option for me. Like, someone tells me, oh, that movie sucked, don't go see it. That's never affected me. If someone says, oh, I don't enjoy this game, don't go get it. It doesn't really bother me. If I see a game and the trailer or whatever, however it's revealed to me, whether it be the trailer, seeing somebody else play it, I usually make up my mind right then and there. Like, do I want to check this game out? Do I want to invest some time into it? If it's a game like World of Warcraft, for instance, like if I know there is a huge amount of time invested, like this isn't a game that you could play it casually, but like if you want the full experience, you're not going to go full casual. So a game like World of Warcraft, I might actually look into YouTube. I don't really go to too many like popular websites, man. Like Google, Twitch, and YouTube. Like the internet could be just that, and I think in my world, and it would be just fine. Those are like my 3 most visited websites. So if it's a game that looks like it's going to require a shitload of knowledge, like something like Warframe, for instance, like that is a huge monument to stand in front of. That is a video game. You know what I mean? Like you could go into that video game and learn everything yourself for sure, but it's going to take you a really long time, and you could probably make a lot of mistakes along the way. Something like Warframe, I'll definitely look into somewhat of a review. But yeah, I've never really had anything like ruin it for me, so to speak.
Trailers are what sets it gets my attention, right? Like a trailer will say, "Hey, check me out. This looks fun," right? Or, "Nah, this ain't really for me." Just based on a trailer. Often I'll pretty much get
a vibe.
Yeah, a vibe that's pretty accurate. It's not 100% accurate. Like, I've definitely been fooled. That either set expectations too high or possibly even didn't accurately represent a game that I may have liked, but the trailer didn't represent that. Reviews, I don't really trust, especially numbers. Like, when I see a 90, if I'm interested in the game, I'll read a couple of reviews, and I won't really pay attention to the numbers too much, because a lot of the games that I've loved have been like scored in like the 70s, low 80s.
Wasn't Battlefield 4 reviewed really high before the actual game came out?
I think that's it. That was actually a turning point for me, like in looking for reviews, is that I remember Battlefield, like you said, Battlefield 4, it was high 90s. High 90s on Metacritic when that game was released. And then it released, and it turned out that all the reviewers had played the single player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who the fuck buys Battlefield for the single player? Like, you reviewed something that nobody gives a shit about. Like, you reviewed
just shut Gary down
half
and
the game. Seriously though, you reviewed half the game. And I think a lot of outlets did change their review process after that. Mm-hmm. But like, if you played Battlefield 4 in the 6 months after release, the game was not worthy of a 90% score, by any means. It was a broken fucking game when it came out.
I know it doesn't apply for everyone, but look at Destiny, like Briar, like all of us played the shit out of that game and loved it, and it got awful reviews. And I know some people probably would agree with that, but it didn't stick with us, and it just kind of echoes what I was saying about and what Briar was saying, that number, man. Sometimes that number it's really weird, man. It's like, how'd you come up with that number? How does you know what I mean? What is the criteria? Like, it can't just be I didn't like this activity, so I'm gonna dock 4 total points. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be like a set criteria of, you know, this gameplay category has potentially this many points, or
and
you know.
I think following particular reviewers can help you in that regard as well. If you know a reviewer, if you trusted their reviews in the past, that can really help. For me,
it can help, Beastly, but like it can also be like, well, I know not to trust this guy, right? Like, I already know that this guy doesn't like this type of game, so why is he even fucking reviewing it?
Yeah,
right? Because he's not going to be like, if you know, I know that he doesn't like, you know, open world games, so why is he reviewing Red Dead Revolver 2? You know what I mean? Like, he's going to give it a bad score or he's going to give it a good score because he knows he needs to, otherwise he'll get crucified on the internet, you know? Like, but if he doesn't like that type of game, you know, I've seen that happen a lot too.
And another issue that happens from time to time is like, there's a game that I've always wanted since it came out on PS4 because I'm a huge fan of the anime. The anime is called Berserk. And it's about this guy named Guts and these incredible characters, Casca and Griffin, all these people. And the game came out and it looked awesome. And I saw the trailer and I was like, oh my God, I have to buy this game. And then when I started to look at some of the reviews, and they weren't horrible reviews, but they were, you know, mid 50s, 60s and things like that. And it kind of slowed me down. I ended up not ever buying the game, but I wanted to get that game on release. But, you know, I heard a lot of naysaying going on, and that kind of stopped me from picking up something that I'm really passionate about too.
How do you score a game like Sea of Thieves, right? There's Sea of Thieves is going to be a major turnoff to a lot of people because you know, as we all know, there's not a whole lot of content there. There's not a whole lot of, you know, variety of, you know, like single player content or like questing to do. But the moment to moment gameplay when you're interacting with other people is super fun. How do you review that, right? Like, how do you give a score to that game? Like, and how do you as a reader know if you're gonna like that game? You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking hard. Like,
it seems like it's a new criteria, Briar. It's like games like that to me fall into the same category as games like Fortnite or games like PUBG. It's a different type of video game that to me requires a different type of review.
Yeah, I don't know. Scored reviews. Scores don't really matter to me. I tend to like things like watching a Twitch streamer play something to kind of get a more feel for it. Or Giant Bomb does like those quick looks, which I still don't love, but they're better than like just a straight up review. Is where they'll play a game for half an hour to an hour and just kind of sit there and like a couple or 3 people will just talk about, you know, their experiences with the game. Podcasts I think are really good where people have, you know, a 20-minute conversation between like 3 or 4 people who've played it. You know, that stuff is good, but it's not, you know, again, like if you listen to Giant Bomb talk about Sea of Thieves, nobody on that staff liked it, but I fucking loved it. So how am I supposed to, you know, like, it's so weird. Like, I love that fucking game, but if somebody asks me for a review, I'm going to give it a high review, but what confidence they have in me, because it's a game like that is so dependent on your individual style and like how you like to interact with video games and with other people.
So there's like a couple of caveats for me on this question or this topic. And one is like Steam is a really, really good place for this, or a platform for this, through the Steam curators. So you can find a curator that suits you. So I subscribe to a curator called Waifu Hunter, and his sole, it's true.
Shocker. I'm totally shocked by this.
Sole purpose is to look into a game and rate the waifus. You know, is there strong waifu in this game? Is there not? There's also another curator who'll look and say 30 FPS police. So they'll come in and they'll say, this is true.
It's all making sense.
You're joking, right?
No,
being honest?
No, he's not at all.
This is true. Is this game 30 frames? Is there a way to unlock the frame rate through a community patch? Can you do it? And that helps inform my decisions. Joking aside, actually, Steam curators are really good because you can look at people who are like just good RPGs or just good open world. And these guys are like, will sprawl the releases each week just to bring you stuff to say, this is out of the 600 games that have released this week. This is the 15 that are applicable to you. And these are the 5 that I think are worthwhile playing, of that genre, that subgenre. I think, like you say, review scores, aggregate review scores, Metacritic review scores, in my opinion, are far less important because your taste is not factored into that, because your taste, your personal bias in a game is going to steer that wildly. So I actually had never played, before I conclude my point there, Briar, you spoke about Red Dead Redemption 2. I'd never played Red Dead Redemption, and with the Xbox One X update, I went back and I really tried to like that game, because people have said it's the game of the generation, previous generation. It's like one of the best games on the 360 PS3. Absolutely amazing. John Marston's such a likable character, really strong world. I'm sure it was at the time. I've gone back and put in, I think, 7.5 hours now into that game, desperately trying to like it. It's in 4K. It's about as good as it could possibly look. The controls I've mapped onto the Xbox Elite controller to try to make it a bit more convenient to play. I just don't like that game, and that's a me problem. That's not a bad game. That is just I just do not like Red Dead Redemption at all, and I like open world games. I just don't like that game. Something like Criminal Girls or Galgum, right? That got 55% and 61% respectively on Metacritic. Both games just bring joy to my heart. I fucking love those games. They're so stupid, just dumb, stupid fun. Snapping schoolgirls' panties and trying to make them succumb to your will. It's not trying to be a good game.
What life is about, people.
Make 'em
This is
succumb
what
to
life
your
is
will.
made of.
Right. There's
I would kind of echo the whole Steam thing. Another really good way to gauge how people are feeling a game is just, as far as Steam is concerned, is hop on Steam and you can see how the community has responded to it. So if it has overwhelmingly negative reviews, generally the people had such a bad experience that they felt it necessary to go leave a bad review. Same thing with good reviewed games on Steam. Like, if they had that good of a time playing the game, they went and left good positive feedback. It's those neutral ones that kind of ride the fence, so if it's on Steam, the community rates their games all the time, so that's a really good way of judging a game. I would say that's pretty solid and trusting.
I want to give a shout out to this channel that I introduced you guys to just before the show, because he's really helped steer me. It's a channel called Games of War, games with a Z, on YouTube. And this chap doesn't post a lot, so it's not something that you need to actively, subscribe and wait for updates. But check him out. He puts out maybe a video a month, but what he does are really well researched, really well curated lists on a topic. So he'll say, like, these are all the RPGs on the Vita that are unappreciated, or these are all the games on the 3DS that you might not have heard of. So what he won't do is tell you about Final Fantasy and, the ease games and the ones that people will have played and known about. He really delves deep into the games that might have been the 60s and the 50s and the 70s on Metacritic and says, what's good about them? Why should you play them? Why visit them? What's to like? What's should you give this some time?
Redeeming quality in those games.
Yeah, and I've discovered so many games in there that I just wouldn't have given any time or attention to, that this chap, Games of War, has just brought to my attention. Things on the Genesis, things on other, with the Vita emulator. I'm looking at all these kind of old consoles as well. Things things that I just wouldn't have seen. And again, these are games that aren't critically acclaimed, that don't have high scores. And like you say, Briar, are things that you might personally play and absolutely love and think this doesn't have to be a blockbuster, well-revered, acclaimed game for it to just be a great game to play and get 20, 30 hours of fun gameplay from. So yeah, I completely challenge that point, BC, that review scores skew my perception. I think, look around it, know your taste in a game and think, actually, from everything I've seen and heard about this game, is this something that would appeal to me, regardless of what people are saying about it? Because it's probably something you'll like Berserk.
There are
the
times,
band.
I'll say, though, that review scores will get my attention. The case in point, God of War. When I saw every fucking reviewer before the review embargo was out saying, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's every fucking reviewer. And then the review scores come out and it's just fucking sky high. That shit does get my attention. right?
Well,
It's like,
Brian, when you take into account in 3 days, God of War sold 3.1 million units, and Uncharted 4 sold 2.6 million units in a week, and what is it with the chick with the bow and arrow? Horizon Zero Dawn sold 2.5 in 2 weeks. Not only were the reviews right, this shit is moving like mad. To me, that
really
game
good.
deserves, like you say, you don't use the numbers in reviews. Have you found reason in your mind yet to not put it up there in that stratosphere of a review score? If you were
I don't
the
find it
kind
to
of
be a
person,
perfect game. If I was involved in the conversation you guys were having last week about that game, I definitely would have voiced some of the complaints I do have with the game. But I do
Okay.
think it's a fucking great game.
Yeah.
Fucking
To me,
great game.
it's a high 9 game. It's not a 10, in my opinion.
I
We'll wait
agree
till
with that
everyone's-
100%. I think it's a high 9. I can't wait till next week, Briar, because this will be the podcast people listen to hear 3 or 4 guys talk about a great game that they played and their
A
thoughts on
high
it.
9 or a long 9?
Long 9. It's a long 9.
thick
It's
9.
a nicely paced out game too. I don't want to get in a God of War discussion.
It's 9
We
inches.
can talk about it next week, right, Briar? Will you be ready?
9
think, by
inches
next week?
circumference.
Probably not.
Nine.
I won't have played it, fortunately, because like my plan was to finish it on Friday, but like I said, I didn't stream on Friday because I was fucking exhausted.
So
and
you're
then-
already behind. Yeah.
And I got the new DLC for Destiny coming out on Tuesday, and that's gonna consume literally every waking moment from the time it releases till Friday when we beat the raid.
I hope I'm not sandbagging and waiting everybody down in the raid, man.
I hope you're not,
The way
too.
the way they're talking about the new progression system, man. I'm like, oh, how hard is this gonna be?
Oh man, well, it's time to get back into Destiny. I'm excited about that. Shit. All right, so the next topic, and yes, for people who are curious about this, we are still a gaming podcast, and this is kind of
Are
a
we?
fun. Yeah, we are.
Really?
We're talking about. We've been talking about video games this entire show.
No, we had
What?
a whole conversation about something.
Well, God damn it, Briar. I just want to be a video game podcast
Well,
again.
we spoke about squirrels. We spoke about you taking a shot in the eye. We spoke around loads of stuff.
A shot in the eye. You son
missed
of a
that part.
bitch.
Man, you got to
Okay.
No, I
hold
did
the
not
eye,
take a dick in my eye.
hold the eye under a running tap for about 30, 40 seconds. It'll take the sting off.
Sounds like you know all about this, Gary.
Experience.
I've given many women advice on it.
What the
And-
fuck is happening?
All
All
right, what's the
right,
next
so
topic?
what weapon would you choose to keep if you could have it fully functional and exactly as it is in a video game? So, video game world, any weapon.
I am not shitting you. I answered the same question at DCP this week. It was the same
Really?
fucking question. Yeah, no shit.
Did you really?
And since I answered it already, I'll go first. It was the Red Death because it gives you your life back.
Oh,
So
that's
I
a
can
good
get
one.
shot. As long as I get a shot off on you, I get my health back.
I'm gonna go get mine.
If you would have asked me when I was younger, when I was like 8 or 9, hands down the Master Sword, 100%, dude. I would have
Good one.
wanted the Master Sword, or maybe into my adolescent ages, I would have maybe said Sephiroth's sword or whatever.
Ooh,
'cause it's a
Sephiroth.
really long katana.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking old now, and swords require movement, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take Sunshot from D2 because that thing is fucking baller, dude. I love that gun so much. The
I love that too.
aesthetic, okay. So not only the way the gun functions is cool. Sure, we could argue it could be better, and it's going to be.
It's gonna
so,
be.
thumbs up. But the aesthetic of the gun, man, the attention to detail, where there's those little venting ports where the flame comes out. It
Yeah.
actually has that. And this is without the ornament, obviously. It has that discoloration that you get from high temperature up against certain kinds of metals, and I see it every day on my torch. So, Sunshot, man, that gun. From the moment I played the Destiny 2 beta, I said hands down, that is the first gun exotic that I'm going to chase. And then it was presented in the fucking campaign, and all of the luster. I was glad to have it, but all the luster of the chase wasn't there. But so Sunshot, 100%, man.
Wow, I'm a little surprised that you guys would choose Destiny weapons when there's so many weapons out there.
Oh no, her benevolent sniper. I changed my mind from Destiny 1. Yeah, that's it.
The
Because
problem is,
boom, headshots.
right? I'll tell you what the problem is. There's some practicality to using some weapons that, like, if I choose a sword from Final Fantasy, I'm not gonna be able to lift that thing off the fucking ground.
Well, Squall had a gun that was like a slim sword with a shotgun attached to it, which is pretty cool from Final Fantasy
it
VIII.
seems cool, except that how am I gonna aim a fucking 70-pound gun?
Squall's sword is just a normal sword. You're talking about Cloud's sword. Get your Final Fantasy together. Cloud's sword.
Buster
Squall,
sword.
Wasn't Squall the one that had the gun?
He had a gun, a gun blade.
Yeah,
But and that wasn't a big heavy sword.
it looked like it weighed a lot.
No.
All right, and Sephiroth's sword, wasn't that thing like 8 feet long?
It's 11 feet long. And
how am I going to use that? Like, what if I get into a close combat situation in like a hallway? I'm fucked.
How the hell are you getting the hallway with that?
Good question.
I'm coming.
I feel like it may happen.
I'll be like Austin Powers, who got like the fucking golf cart stuck.
Yeah.
Time out.
So for me, I actually had this question for us last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. For me, my weapon of choice would be this one here, the Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts.
Why is that?
Well, there's many questions and many answers to this. The Keyblade is not only just a regular weapon, and I have a special edition that has an actual sword on the inside. This shoots plasma that would just destroy any Destiny weapon, in my opinion. But it also opens up worlds, and
that's making an awful sound, Beasley.
Close your damn ears, Briar. Shit.
We are trying to do like a podcast.
Well, they'll know why they heard the sound. God damn it! So the Keyblade, it opens up any Disney world, and you can go into any world. So with this blade, I would be able to shoot the shit out of people and make them explode and turn into little green dots. And I'd also be able to go to the Marvel world, the Avengers. I'd be able to go to Star Wars. I'd be able to go to any Disney world and frolic and have fun. Who wouldn't want to go hang out with Princess Jasmine? Huh?
What if I locked myself out of my house? Could I get back in?
How big is your key ring? The
Not
keyhole.
that big. Like,
you got to shoot the whole door off, but you could get in.
I could get. Okay, all right.
It would turn into a bunch of green fucking balls on the ground. You wouldn't have a door. You'd probably put some plastic laminate up to stop the
The
bugs.
landlord will cover that.
Yeah, this
is there any
an awesome
weapon in any game that gives you immortality?
The Holy Grail from Indiana Jones. So you want to whip?
I don't know about that.
Beat a motherfucker over the head with the grail.
No,
it's a weapon now. It's a weapon.
I don't know if that wouldn't be
get
very
the Holy Grail, but you choose the whip and the 6-shooter, like Indy has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've liked those movies.
Dude, and
usually when you have
look
those
pretty
in a
attractive
game,
in that getup.
usually when they have those in the game, it's like temporary because if you had a weapon that made you impervious or invincible, the game would be boring. So for the most part,
I'm not worried about gameplay here. Like that's not my fucking goal.
That's why it's so hard. That's why it's so hard to find one.
Your Keyblade is a great idea. It seems really fucking awesome until Wilson's fucking sitting in a bush, fucking 300 meters away, and pops you in the head with his fucking sniper rifle. That's what I'm saying. Like all of a sudden, I'm thinking I need something that's gonna help me out in that situation.
Yeah.
Or I'm just like fucking Jolly Rogering it down the fucking street, and like splat. Fucking Wilson's in the bush with the supremacy. God damn it.
There's also a flip side to that, though. What if I'm hard scoping and Beasley comes up behind me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I got an escape route anyway. As soon as the first shot gets popped off, if you guys miss, I'm jumping down the whole portal.
Have you ever watched Wilson Snipe? He ain't missing.
You got a good fucking point. He really ain't missing. Look how you're looking too. I believe.
I think he's got a ton of aim assist on it too.
Here's the thing: you can miss, but you just have to follow up very quickly. That's the secret. That I miss all the fucking time. You just gotta follow up.
Body shots.
Then you switch to a hand cannon like you meant to do that.
Yeah, the Gallahorn, not a bad one. Not a bad one.
Gallahorn is a good one.
So we'll move on to the next topic. And for anybody out there listening, and if you notice that we don't sound nearly as intelligent, it's because Gary popped out and dropped out of the show.
We're double intelligent because now you're on the screen twice.
Oh.
You took Wilson's spot. You're still in your spot, and Wilson took Gary's spot.
Oh, okay. Well, damn.
Well, I guess I should talk like this then.
I think so.
So the next topic is loot boxes that are banned in Belgium. Whose topic is this?
That'd be
loot
rabbits.
boxes. That's mine. Yeah, loot boxes. So Belgium passed a law. They included. Here, let me read the quote out. Can somebody else read it? I can't get it open with everything I got open. Can somebody else? Just, there's a quote
the
from
quote from
Eurogamer.
Eurogamer article says, "It determined FIFA 18, Overwatch, and CS:GO's loot boxes are a game of chance and so are subject to Belgian gambling law. Battlefront 2, at the time the investigation was conducted, did not have loot boxes, so escapes unscathed." A statement from Minister of Justice Cohen Gaines said FIFA 18, Overwatch, and CS:GO were therefore illegal and demanded their loot boxes removed. If they're not, the publisher risks a prison sentence of up to 5 years and a fine of up to 800,000 euros. When minors are involved, those punishments can be doubled, Gaines added. Can you imagine what you went for, man? Loot boxes?
That's some serious shit. You're definitely going to become somebody's bitch.
Yeah, or you'd be king shit. And you'd know how to work the system. You'd make loot boxes in prison. Dude, that's the end game if they get locked up. You make loot boxes in prison.
Out like cigarette boxes that are
like
random
like little
shit.
loose cigarettes. Yeah, sometimes you get a loose
burritos. Remember the burritos?
Sometimes you get a whole carton. You know what I mean? Like, could be an epic drop. Oh, my God.
Could be I shit in a box.
It's common. Wow. Very common.
This is a very, very interesting topic. I didn't know.
Follow up to this before we jump into the conversation. This is also being, it's on the table in the United States. I don't know how far it's progressed. There's a lot of talk about it, kind of late last year, early this year, especially from a Hawaiian senator. It's been talked about a lot in Germany and in the EU. So it's not, I mean, right now, Belgium, I think we could say, is the first, but not necessarily the last to put some legislation in place like this. What do you guys think about that? Like, you think it's too far? Do you think it's warranted? Like, what do you think?
Okay, I see it from both sides of the fence, but I'm kind of leaning towards backing the this is kind of bullshit
Belgium.
side. That this is kind of bullshit side. Just
Okay.
hear me out, all right? I get it that it's a game of chance and people are spending money and minors are technically gambling. But if you take this out, you got to take all the fucking little trinket machines out of the fucking grocery stores on the way in with the little bubble presses.
Good point.
Because they have that big blinging ass made in China watch right up there that you
or
can
the sticky hand.
Yeah, you want the hand size
Big
one.
fucking yellow green hand. It sticks.
Slap your sibling.
You get a fucking
like
ring.
Stretchy thing, you're like,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
what you always
pretty
want.
cool.
So how many times as a kid have you said, "Mom, Dad, may I have a quarter, 50 cents?" Now they're like up to a fucking dollar or something stupid, and gone up and said, "I hope I get that watch or that big sticky hand," and you don't, and you still enjoy the prize that you got, but you didn't get what you wanted. I'm okay with it, but there are, if that's how it's gonna be, there are plenty of other things out there that entice kids to spend their parents' money on.
I think that's a bit of a false argument, Wilson, because just because other people are doing it doesn't make it right.
No, I'm saying they should do something about that too.
Okay, but we're not talking about that. We're talking specifically about loot boxes.
Fair enough.
Right? Like,
fair enough.
Stretching the argument out, I don't think is an argument against the policy.
I guess my point being is that it's not the only thing doing this right now, and it's not the first time this has been done.
Yeah, that's been
and
going on.
That's probably the earliest example of children loot boxes. You know what I mean? Like, so that's been going on forever.
Okay, so there's a couple of differences.
My point is, it's not new, but it is kind of fucked up.
There's definitely differences, though. One is, that your children are oftentimes unattended while they're playing video games. They are getting barraged in these video games for advertising by these loot boxes. Like they are. Yeah. It is a barrage. I mean, we know this from playing video games like Fortnite and CS:GO and Destiny and like games that have this stuff. They really push it hard.
Yeah. No, I think you make a good point. Actually, I'll concede to that. Like, you're right. Like, it's definitely thrown in their face more, and it's almost kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses sort of thing too. When you see your friends are getting loot boxes, and you're like, "Oh, that's cool. I want that." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's definitely a different scenario. I think it's a fine line, man. Whew.
It is, and this is not a topic that I've given much thought until really today, especially now that I'm first hearing the article for the first time. And when I heard you say that and draw that parallel, Wilson, that made perfect sense to me. But Briar does bring up a valid argument that you don't walk into the store and see representatives in the store walking by every 5 minutes looking at your kid and saying, "Look what I got out of the machine up front." So it's a little bit different. They're not really being pushed out in the physical stores to buy these things. I think that the direction that Belgium has gone isn't necessarily a bad one. I think that as a parent, and your children are asking for your credit card or maybe not asking and going and buying this stuff that ultimately they're not going to get what they want 90% of the time. And they're being sold and it's being pushed on them. I think that there should be some regulation. I don't know if outlawing loot boxes is the answer. Maybe outlawing people underage from doing this. Because when you're inside of the store with your child, and Nova comes up to me and asks me for 50 cents, or Nina asks me for a quarter, it's up to me whether or not to get that. And of course, making it law won't make it factually happen in every instance, but if they do make it law and they make it in a certain way, or make it harder for children to go through with these purchases without parental consent, I think that might be
getting parental consent to begin with, because I don't know of too many
yeah, they have to get parental. I mean, theoretically, unless they're like stealing credit cards out of their,
a lot of kids do that shit.
Or parents.
Yeah. A lot of kids do, but that's a whole separate issue. That's completely different. But
I don't know. But I don't know if you buy these things, if you see something that says, "Are you 18?"
The issue, though, I mean, I think it's there. It's in the EULA, right? The issue, I think, is that you're training kids gamble. Right? It's like that's what Belgium is basically saying, right? Is that they're comparing loot boxes to a game of chance, like you'd see in a casino, right? A game of chance, like craps or blackjack, or a gambling game. And they're saying, look, we don't want you training our kids to gamble. Like the
totally valid argument.
And we're gonna put a stop to it.
I mean, Briar, as a parent, Willie, it'll happen to you probably in the next 2 years.
God, no.
As a parent, Briar, do you think that's beneficial? Do you understand the argument?
As a gamer, I think it's beneficial. Like, I think these things are fucking horrendous. I think loot boxes are a plague on gaming right now that I have a fucking real problem with. Yeah.
You don't see it as the company's DLC at all? Because we've always had the discussion about how companies are going to recoup the cost of making a game and keeping them at $60 versus actually making DLC.
If you want to sell DLC, I don't really have a problem with you selling DLC. I don't really have a problem. Like, on a case by case basis, I'll make a decision on DLC and the value of that DLC. But when you have a situation where like you have some cool gear in the game, but you hide it behind RNG. For me, this is one of my biggest problems with Overwatch, right? Is that like they have this cool stuff in the game, but I can't just buy the skin I want, right? I have to invest in these loot boxes, to do it. And it's basically like the chances you getting what you want. If let's say I'm a God forbid, right? Let's say I'm a Hanzo main, and I really want, the new Hanzo.
You should see those eyes, man.
The new Hanzo
dragon
outfit.
will come through the computer.
You know what I mean? It's like, I want that new Hanzo outfit. The chances of me getting that thing are so fucking low because the loot pool is so big.
Oh, I know.
Now, a game like Titanfall, where if you want a skin, they put a price on it. Look, Blizzard knows the price of that skin for Hanzo, right? They have that calculated out. And they calculate it out based on how rare it is and how likely, the average person is to spend money, how many loot boxes they're willing to buy, like all those things are averaged out. And they probably have, an average of this skin is worth $20 per sale, right? Or per time it's found. That's how likely somebody is, how much money they've put into the game to try and get this skin, right? And then they base development time around that. Whereas Titanfall or even Fortnite will say, look, here's the skin, it's $20. And I personally, I respect that much more. They're upfront about how much this costs. And also, I will say this is it feels deceptive to me, and it feels like they're trying to trick gamers with loot boxes, right? Is they're pulling basically the drug dealer trick where they're saying, look, we'll give you a taste so that you come back to buy more. You know, like it's a
the next one. It's gonna cost you.
First one's
right?
free, yeah.
And like we got this like, you know, blinged out animation, and it's literally designed to, you know, to
endorphins to your brain.
Yeah,
dopamine.
To release dopamine into your brain. It's literally trying to put dopamine in your brain, and they want it to cause such a positive response physiologically that you want to come back for that again.
Unless you don't get the Hanzo skin like me, and you're like, "Fuck this shit."
So, Brian,
this was not dopamine.
It sounds like, in closing, you're in favor of removing loot boxes and banning them in general. You think?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'd be okay with that. Okay.
I agree too. So Revolver did decide.
Revolver decides. Fuck
loot boxes should be banned. Fuck loot boxes.
Go Belgium.
And I just got
Go girl.
I just got a text message from Gary. It said, "This is what happens when your wife finds your internet history and your plan for a Bangkok vacation."
Oh man, I like how you read that from the Yobo, by the way.
Yeah, well, don't make Bangkok vacations and let your wife see.
I thought you were gonna delete Twitter off your Yobo.
You need to keep it on the Yobo. I'll take it off my phone then.
Keep it on the Yobo on the low.
All right. So this next topic is going to be a lot of fun. Too bad Gary is, dealing with his issues at home, because I really wanted to hear what he had to say.
Did he text us? Is the internet shut down? Like, what the fuck happened?
He got fucked. I don't know. I that doesn't happen to Gary.
What happens when you search vacationing in Bangkok?
Yeah. And
good call making him search that, Briar. Good call.
Pre-show, Gary actually was looking up kind of the travel plans and the kind of things you can do in Bangkok for vacation. He seemed very interested, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, DDoS by a bunch of ladyboys.
Yes.
Sounds like he booked his flight when we were talking about it. He booked his flight and he's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here," and just ended the call.
Yeah. I mean, somebody should tell Gary that we're not technically social media. I don't know if he took that off his computer or what, because he's making some changes like Michael Jackson.
It'd be cool if he had Twitter installed on his phone, because then he would have got my fucking Twitter message asking me if everything was okay.
That's right. He can't be on Twitter because it's only installed on his desktop.
Yeah.
You fucked yourself, Gary. Everybody
right now he's downloading Twitter.
Fucking DJ Khaled fucking meme. You played yourself, Gary.
I mean, he sounded so forthright a few minutes ago. I took Twitter, Facebook off my phone. I feel so much better. Now he's fucked. Look at his phone, his MP3 player. Get it right, Gary. Get back to us.
Twitter's DDoSing his ass, being going, "Get back online." This is your warning. So next topic, guys. It's called Revolver Explores, or we could say Travels. We could call it Travels. It could be either or. The crew has been given access to any place on Earth.
Yeah.
And we have been given free reign to penetrate all of its crevices. We each get to take the crew to one place on Earth. Where would you take the other three? Why? And what would we do?
Bangkok. We're going to Bangkok.
Briar says, "Fuck it, we're going to Bangkok."
We're going to Bangkok.
Why are we going to Bangkok?
Let's do it in Bangkok, Briar.
Dude, what aren't we doing in Bangkok? More importantly, what aren't we doing in Bangkok? We are going to have so many venereal diseases by the time we leave Bangkok. Look, everybody likes to go see the sights when they go see it. They go somewhere, right? Like if you go to Egypt, you want to see the pyramids. You go to London, you want to see Big Ben. We're going to Bangkok, and we're going to see those ladyboys. We are going we're not leaving there until somebody has sex with a lady boy.
Where is
My
Gary?
radar was-
Gary's not here.
My radar was a little off for that picture that was sent. My radar is not as in tune as Beasley's may be or whatever. So
Oh, so you thought the girly boy was really a girl?
there's a good chance that person may end up being me.
Well, hey, no problem, man. I'll hold the camera. That's as far as I'll get. For me, you guys know I'm kind of a conspiracy kind of guy.
Sweet.
You know? And so is Willie too. You know, we both love that kind of world. And something that's interested me since I was a young wee lad, was the Bermuda Triangle. I like to go out there and just stay in that area until some shit goes wrong, and see how Briar reacts when we go through a cloud and he looks over to the left and there's a T-Rex staring at us or something.
Better yet, when we're sitting on a boat and a fucking big old UFO goes out of nowhere.
Do you want to go? You want to go on a vacation where your best case scenario is that I'm wrong and that we all die?
It seems like a lot of fun, Briar.
All have to die. Not all those who have had
I'm
Bermuda
voting
Triangle.
Bangkok.
Not all of those. No, we already went there, Briar. Now it's time for the next trip. You're along for the ride.
I'm gonna say it's Bangkok till you guys get back
Nope.
from the Bermuda Triangle. If you fucking get back.
Your passport has been stamped. You have been accepted into Bermuda. You're
So,
going.
Briar,
Something else got
how you gonna
stamped
do
too.
this, Briar? Briar, you wanna-
Oh my goodness. Like, could you imagine some of the craziest shit though? You're on a boat and all of a sudden you're in another fucking dimension and you look around and there's all these different boats and planes and things from different time periods that
People
just
see tons of things going through the Bermuda. One guy flew through the Bermuda Triangle through a cloud that formed into a tunnel, and when he came out, he looked down. He said he was over Antarctica, and he had to turn around and go through the cloud again to get back. In the 60s, fleets of planes disappeared going through that, and people are suggesting that the lost city of Atlantis is beneath the water, and some lost technology is causing these people to go through vortexes in time. To me, that sounds like a
we
great way
gotta
to fucking
document this because this could be like a real life Scooby-Doo episode. Like, gee,
Alright,
gee,
so-
Scooby.
Worst case scenario is I'm dressed for Bermuda and end up in Antarctica.
Yeah, that would be
Or-
awesome, Briar.
Or dress for Antarctica and end up in Bangkok. That could be problematic as well. It's a lot of layers.
I like the conspiracies. Okay, Willie, where are you taking us?
All right, like, dude, since I was a little kid, man, like, I've always wanted to go to Stonehenge and stuff like that. But I figured, like, once you get to Stonehenge, there's not really a whole lot to do other than, like, maybe eat some
Stare at the
psychedelics
heads.
and, like, hang out, like, for a little bit. So, like, as fun as hanging out with you guys at Stonehenge, eating psychedelics could potentially be, I think we should. I want to do the pyramids as well, but I feel like we just fuck something up, or Gary draw a bunch of dicks over the hieroglyphs or something like that. Like we do. So
Well,
I'm
look
thinking
at Brian
Japan.
thinking about it.
I'm thinking we need to go to Japan because we need some culture.
Yeah.
We need some honor in our
Yes.
lives. So we need to go to Japan.
I
And
don't
could you
think
imagine-
honor is what Gary Diaz is gonna get.
I was just gonna say. Could you
He's gonna
imagine
be
if,
on
if-
her.
if we just let him go and just watched him for a little bit? Like how much? It's just.
Have you ever seen like a girl who's like so excited and she's like almost like vibrating? That's how I picture Gary Diaz going to Japan.
I think it'd be totally worth it. Like we'd have the little kitty leash where you like hook the little wrist thing to the other kid's wrist, and then like all of a sudden we're like, okay, whoosh, and just let him go and just
That's-
watch. Like
That's where we need to do the Revolver live show. We need to set up our Patreon and let our viewers donate to the Patreon so that we can go to fucking Japan and do a live show and show everybody in person.
We're not going
black-
to Japan and not going to Bangkok. Like they're too close to each other.
No, Japan is.
Yes, we're going to Bangkok.
God damn it, Briar.
I also also gonna need money for a lot of liquor because it takes a lot of that to get me on a plane. A lot. I'm
How
flying to
much it's
Guardian
gonna take you once
Cons.
you get there?
I'm flying to Guardian Con, so this is my little test
Mhm.
test
Oh,
flight.
you're gonna
or
love
whatever.
You're going to love it.
No, I've been on planes plenty of times before. I've been on planes probably 40, 50 times.
Yeah.
I just had one really, really bad experience with strangers holding hands and praying and stuff
There
like
was
that.
yeah,
awful.
you know, hearing stories like what just recently happened, where a part of the engine flew off and went flying out, and part of the engine tore her head off and stuff. That's a really bad situation.
Yeah,
But
that's so
that'll-
rare though. I mean, it's really rare. It's like
It's
what?
like bit by a shark.
Yeah,
Or
it's
getting
like
struck
that.
by lightning.
Hear me out. Everyone says you have a better chance of getting in a car accident. No shit, because there's more
Yeah.
people driving cars out there, and
But
you're
also,
actually in control.
Car accidents are 100% fatal.
Exactly, you're on the fucking ground, and then
Like you
I'm
can
listening.
have a fender bender with a fucking car.
I'm listening to Guardian Radio, and Mark is talking about flying out to Seattle and how they had to fill the bottom of the plane up with water, and it ended up seeping into the landing gear and the bottom compartments. And had they taken off, all that shit would have froze, and there would have been no fucking landing gear.
Damn, land in the grass and
Oh, but you're just as safe. Bullshit. All right. If there's a reason why we don't have wings, all right, there's
Listen,
a reason
Wilson,
why the Wright
what
brothers
you
didn't
do
figure that
when you-
shit out until the 1900s.
when you get on the plane, there'll be a stewardess say, "Hello, hi." You say, "Bitch, where is the pilot?" You walk up to the pilot.
Liquor.
You say, "Open your mouth. Let me smell your breath." And if you smell it, you say, "Okay, that's just bad breath." You're good. Just make sure he's not drinking on the job.
I don't
Ask
think
him.
I could handle.
Ask
make
him
sure
how
you
his
are.
car things going with his wife.
I don't
ask him
think I
his
could handle
relationship.
looking into the cockpit and being overwhelmed by all the fucking gauges,
Buttons.
meters, switches, who's its and what's its and things that
This
you
is a
can
fucking
flip
plane,
in
or we
there.
playing Mech Warrior up in here? What the fuck?
Yeah. You remember that controller, Briar?
Are you a pilot or a fucking 1900s operator? Like, what
Yeah.
is your deal? Like,
It's a lot of shit they had to do. Man. All right, so that seems like the end of our trip. We did survive Bangkok, the Bermuda Triangle, and Japan, which of course was definitely the cherry on top of the sundae because it's the video game center of the world. Yeah, and it has some really beautiful culture, and Gary would have really been down with the waifus out there. Next topic.
waifu game is on point.
Marry, fuck, kill.
Yeah. All right. What do we got for options?
God damn it, Briar.
Coffee,
Uh-huh.
beer,
Mm-hmm.
and Keira Knightley.
Oh.
Pirates of the Caribbean era, mind you.
Okay.
Yeah, because Keira Knightley now, she looks like Agent Smith.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta Google this. I'm breaking
okay.
the
Look at her.
rules.
She has the bow tie on 2018. It's just not very attractive. Plus her hair just,
Whoa.
it looks like someone painted a skull, kind of.
I'm glad we chose Pirates of the Caribbean era
Yeah.
for this one. I think the choice is obvious. All right, like I'm gonna marry coffee because it's always there for me, and it's always
Yeah?
gonna pick me. It's gonna pick me up when I'm at my lowest.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want.
Fuck
yeah.
beer because it's gonna be crazy and wild. All right, because it's beer. I'm sorry, but Kira's got to go between her and coffee. I'm sorry,
You know-
man.
you know
Even
what?
Pirates of the Caribbean era, like I could not. Because here's the thing, man. If she comes home with a shitty attitude, I'm gonna be pissed.
Right.
Coffee never
You're
comes
gonna
home.
be
with a
wishing you
shitty
had that
attitude.
beer.
Yeah.
You make a solid point. Coffee never comes home in a shitty mood. Coffee brings you out of that shitty mood. Can
Consistency.
confirm. Consistency. It's always there for you. It's
Side note: don't drink concentrated coffee without diluting it. Mr. Briar Rabbit was telling us the story pre-show. This is coffee concentrate, so I can have my iced coffee.
AKA legal fetamine.
Yes.
Illegal
And
felony.
I was showing Briar, and Briar was like, "Wait a minute, that's concentrated. I may have been drinking that without diluting it." Yeah, why don't you tell me?
Loving it.
Yeah, loving it too. So-
I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing, right? I agree completely, 100% with Wilson. Gotta marry coffee. Coffee is just, she's a keeper.
Yeah,
Keeper. The real question is, who do you want to fuck? Beer or Keira Knightley?
You're making a strong argument.
Okay. Now, if beer goes bad, when you're fucking beer, you're gonna be thinking about Keira Knightley.
but
And
you
when you're
need-
fucking Keira Knightley, you're not gonna be thinking about beer, right?
But don't you need the beer to have beer goggles to fuck Keira Knightley?
We're talking about Pirates
Prime
of the
time.
Caribbean. Prime
Yes,
time. Keira
prime.
Knightley.
10 out of 10, Beastly.
She is pretty bad, but I liked her more in Domino, so I'll take Domino Keira Knightley.
There you
All right,
go.
all right,
Fair
there
enough.
you go.
We'll allow it. Judges ruling. We'll allow it.
Thanks, judges.
Okay, but, and I will say this, beer never talks back.
Mm.
Well, that's not necessarily true, is it?
You're fucking Briar.
I've gotten my ass whooped quite a few times after having some talks with beer.
Sometimes,
That beer
maybe
you'd
after
never
too much
expect.
beer, you're gonna need Keira Knightley to hold your hair back while you're puking in the toilet.
I see what you're getting at. They're almost symbiotic.
Right?
Yeah.
You almost
know what I
need
mean?
one to have the other.
Can't have one without the other.
It's a really hard decision, Briar. Well, for me, I'm going to marry the coffee because it keeps me up. It makes my day start. I need it in the morning. It's always consistent. You know what they always say: the blacker the berry, the
Sweeter
darker
the juice.
Oh, that too.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to kill the beer. The reason I'm going to kill the beer is because I've once again gone on a journey of no alcohol, and I'm approaching 4 months.
Yeah,
Since
man.
wine, and I only drank wine. It wasn't really anything big, but it's been consistent, and I've felt great. And I don't want to fuck a beer because I would fuck everything else up. 4
Right.
months of
Those
yeah,
that bottle hole is kind of small, even for me. And that's just made out of glass. If you break it, you're in deep shit.
Not for
Oh,
Gary.
shit.
Though. Not too small
the
for
guy
Gary.
with the
Right?
bottle,
A
he's
beer
stuck.
can? I don't even want to think about fucking that thing. That shit's sharp.
Did you guys ever see the video of the guy who stuck the bottle up his ass and it broke in his ass?
I have unfortunately heard of that. Can I tell you why that happened?
He
Because
sat down on it.
because
Like,
beer,
is-
the glass that's made that they make beer bottles out of is the most brittle, crappiest glass ever. Like
was a
you'd
What
want
hard lesson he learned.
you would want borosilicate glass is what I work with, and they've actually been using that to make these submarines out of spheres, like glass spheres, and put cameras in them and send them down further into the deepest depths of the ocean, farther than we've ever been able to go, because the more even pressure that is on borosilicate glass, the stronger it gets. So
Oh,
had
wow.
that guy pressured up on some
I
borosilicate
tell you
glass,
right
it
now,
would
that guy would have paid you any amount of money to explain that to him before he made that very disturbing video.
So the lesson here is don't use soft glass. Use
Yeah.
borosilicate.
Find yourself pulling shards of glass out of your ass.
Well,
It's a
When you're about to
horrible
stick a
thing.
bottle up your ass, ask yourself, is this borosilicate? This ad was
Did
brought to you
Wilson
by
make this?
borosilicate.
ask yourself.
We make
did
glass
Wilson
that
make-
fits in your ass.
I may have to clip that and show that to my glass boy. Oh man.
All these years later, that guy's ass is still bringing smiles to America. So yeah, I'm gonna kill the beer, and I'm gonna take my chances with Keira Knightley Domino
Yeah.
Edition. Hopefully, she was in that film. She was a bounty hunter, so I might have to wear the Kevlar that night, but I'm willing to take a chance.
All right, here's the thing though, right? When I'm drunk, I feel like I could have 100 Keira Knightley.
Mm.
I am brimming with confidence with
You are
alcohol.
very confident. You are a confident man.
But what happens?
I'm fucking. In my head, I'm fucking Rico Suave up in here.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that movie Beer Fest where he's like, "Hey, baby, would you like to get out of here and get into some tight pants?" And she goes, "What'd you say?" And he goes,
Yeah. Accurate.
He was all wasted, and he goes and he looks at himself in the mirror and he's like, "Hey," and he's got all these nice clothes on, thinking he's looking good and stuff. Like, totally. Been there, man. I've been there.
The depths of depravity that this show goes through. I look in the comments and I see everybody having such a great time. No, it's not pink eye, okay? I know you get pink eye from playing with ass on your eye, and trust me, there's been no ass on my eye. Thank you so much. Reading the comments, but I'm looking at the comments here, and these people have such a great time. Listen to us talk about depravity and foolishness. Only in America. I just love this country.
Amen.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
We are actually on time for once.
Really?
We got through
This
it.
happens every time Gary's gone.
Oh, shit.
We started a little slow,
Gary.
and I feel like we finished very strong.
Hey.
Well done, guys.
Gary convinced us all to quit Twitter.
Hmm. And then left.
And then left.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm not going to use Skype anymore either. Delete.
Yep. I convinced them to buy a Vita. I convinced them all to get PCs. I convinced them all to get rid of Twitter. My job is done. I'm out. Basically what Gary said.
Right? It took a lot less time than usual this week.
No
Turns
doubt.
out these Americans are stupider than I thought.
DC 147, America #1 in the phone book.
That's right.
Cheers to that, man. All right, so should we sign off? Should we tell everyone where to find all of
Yeah, that's a good
us
idea.
lovely people? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Beasley.
On Twitter, you can catch me at Beastly Gamer Max. YouTube, Beastly Gamer, if you want to hear me talk about politics and Kanye West. Check out those videos that have been recently uploaded. And I look forward to having a nice discussion with you guys. Willie?
Well, since Gary's not here, I'm going to go ahead and sorry to the listeners who wait this long to wait for the Cisco facts. I apologize. Just don't have one this week, and it doesn't feel right of me to look one up in place of Gary. So
Cisco used to be in an R&B group called Drew Hill, who ended up breaking up.
There it is. There you go. You saved the day, Beasley. You the
true.
podcast is saved.
Yeah, that's
so
union
Cisco-
work.
Cisco
The
is a
union's
fan
going to
of-
fine you now, Beasley.
Just like Cisco
The
fans of
union
the
job.
kind of funny podcast as well. He loves Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty and has been featured on their podcast heavily over the last few years. So if you guys like Cisco and you like video games, maybe that's why, because he likes video games too. 2 Cisco facts without Gary. Bam!
So if you'd like to tweet Gary, it's at Gary Diaz86, but he's probably not going to get it because he doesn't have it on his phone anymore.
Gary.
So
Hey, fucking
you could tweet me instead at Ryu Wilson. That's RYU Wilson. Love to hear from you guys.
Right.
So holla.
And we'll transcribe your tweet and send a letter.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just on Gary's behalf, because he's not here. I don't know what Gary's doing. Listen to the podcast version of the show. If you guys haven't had an opportunity to do it, Gary always adds a very colorful exposition at the beginning of each episode. It's usually the first 30 seconds to a minute, and he's been knocking it out of the park with some insane depravity. So if you think that the actual live show is depraved, he's allowed to get away with
steps it up a notch for the audio version.
to get away with a lot more on the podcast than he can on Twitch or on YouTube. So if you really want to hear how far Gary's mind can go into the gutter, listen to the podcast and make sure you guys leave a review, because the guy works really hard to put that out there for everybody to listen. We love you, Gary. We hope you come back soon.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be doing a lot of Destiny this week, so I hope to see you guys there. We'll be raiding with Dick Willie on Friday.
Please don't call me that during DCP.
Oh, I'm totally gonna call you that.
Make sure you call him Big Sugar, Willie. Big Sugar.
That'd be so
I'm just letting you know right now. I only do it once, but I'm gonna wait for the perfect opportunity.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Should we do a raid? Should we see who's around?
Yeah,
Right.
Manigator's on. I don't know if
All
you
right.
want to. I feel like our group of people can be themselves there in Mana's chat.
Oh. Ooh, I wonder if Gary's whole computer went down. If it did, then his audio is going to be fucked. Sorry, Gary.
You should stop recording on Audacity as well when you get a second.
Okay. There he is. All right, let's do a little mini raid. Have an amazing evening, everybody. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. Are you guys gonna watch? Are you guys watching?
Ask the raidee if he covers the glory hole, please. Thank you.
That's a good one. Do you cover the glory hole? All right, guys, have an amazing evening. We'll see you guys next week. Talk to you later.
That's so good.